Hi everybody. Welcome to Soul to Souls Conversations. And I have two beautiful women with me. We have Quay the Star and Janelle, who will be joining me to discuss, their sleeve bariatric journey with me. Each have done it. We're at different places and times that we've done it. And so we want to talk a little bit about that and share our journey. So again, I wanted to know, Janelle, when did you do your surgery?
My surgery was September 2017.
Okay, and Quay?
September 2019.
Okay, and then I just had mine in August of this year, 2020. So we're all at different places and experiences with that. So I guess my first question that I'd like to ask is, what brought you to making the decision to having the bariatric surgery? Quay, you can start.
Okay. So you said the question was what brought me to do it?
Yes.
It was just basically my health. For the most part, I just I could barely walk a flight of stairs. Like it got to the point where I felt like it was just life or death. Like I honestly felt like I was gonna die because I had just too many health issues going on. So that's basically for the most part. I wanted to do it naturally, like I wanted to lose weight naturally, but it got to a point where I felt like I couldn't do that. So that was like kind of like my last resort.
Okay. Janelle.
Right. Same with what Quay said. I would try to do it naturally, lose maybe 20 pounds at the most, gain it back. And I had the stair experience. I walked up a couple flights of stairs and literally felt like I was going to die. I couldn't breathe. Went to the doctor. My blood pressure was like 190 something, like over 150. I was way past stroke level. And I was like, okay.
Got you. Okay. So I completely understand and I share the same things because I think for me, it may even be, was health issues, where we're talking about blood pressure as well as like walking a flight of stairs or doing anything. I was starting to feel like my, catching your breath was becoming a challenge. But, I was being like honest, just not liking what I see in the mirror. And starting to feel kind of down and depressed from time to time because I wasn't liking the way I look, or if I go to the store to buy clothes, I can't really find anything that fits me right. I don't feel like I look right. And, all of those things was just like really having an effect. And then when Corona hit, I had put on an additional 20 pounds because now like I'm really not getting outside and doing everything. So I just really said, you know what, this is the time, this is the place, and it's just time for me to basically take that next step, for my health and for my mental health, not just physical, but mental health. So I think that's the things that kind of helped me with my decision. So with that, how, like, what have you found to be different for you? Like, since you've had it, I guess the first question would be, thus far, you've done this a few years ago, Janelle, Quay, you did it last year. What has been different for you? Like, how much did you lose? And, and even like, how much did you lose at your lowest point? If you gain back about how much it is, what are some of those things that have happened and what has changed in your life since you've done the surgery?
Okay. At my lowest point, I lost about 85 pounds. I lost more inches than I did weight. So I went from like a size 24W to a 14 pants, 12 dresses. I leveled out though about at 75 to 80 pounds, depending on what time of the month it was. You know how as women, we naturally fluctuate anyway. Due to Corona, I have gained about 20 back, which I'm trying to get that off.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
With me, I'm at my lowest now because I just had it last year. But at my lowest, I lost 150. I still fluctuate between like 2 and 3 pounds here and there, depending on what I eat that week. But overall, yeah, I'm at my lowest now, but I do see the difference. Like if I have a bad week where I do eat more than the other week, I will gain a few pounds, and then that's when I have to check myself and,
Yes, yes.
So with losing that amount of weight, so like one of the things that I think the misconception that I went in with this was like, oh, like all this weight was just gonna fall off of me super fast. Thus far I've lost about 30 pounds. I thought it would be coming off even quicker. But I thought that like I wouldn't have to do anything. You know what I mean? I felt like, oh, well, I got the surgery and that's all I need to do. But I've kind of found out since then that you do need to still try to exercise and do other things in order to kind of help the weight to come off faster and in a more healthy way. So have either of you had to exercise, or do you really not exercise to lose the weight that you've lost thus far?
I don't exercise. I haven't since Corona started. Prior to Corona, though, I was going to the gym like every day, but I wasn't even going that much. I may have went like an hour or so like that. But I do feel that if you, when you're ready to go back to the gym, or when you're ready to just walk around and exercise, you should. I feel like I personally have more loose skin that I would have if I started earlier on to exercise. Because I waited, like there was a period where I just didn't. So I started later on, and I feel like I would have less extra skin if I would have started earlier than I have.
Right, right.
Right.
I started going to the gym, pretty much immediately, like once I was cleared to exercise, which was probably about 4 to 6 weeks in. And so I was going to the gym. I wasn't doing like weightlifting and stuff like that. So the extra skin is there. I don't have as much maybe as some people because I didn't lose as much, pounds per se, and everybody's body is different. But then when the corona happened, I stopped going to the gym, stopped being active, and started eating a lot of the slider food. So you definitely have to change your eating and stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And also don't look at how some people drop weight really fast, but I learned to more pay attention on how do your clothes fit? How do you look in the mirror? Don't focus on those numbers so much.
Okay. Yeah. So do you feel any different about yourself since you've done the weight loss surgery, Janelle?
In the beginning I did, because it was fun and it was new. And, now I feel like I'm back to my normal. If anything, I'm kind of disappointed in myself for gaining 20 pounds back. But, I did it. It wasn't nobody's fault. Started eating the slider foods. I still can't eat a lot of real food, but the slider food, like the chips and so you're sitting around the house and you're quarantined and you're snacking. And so I would definitely say, watch that.
Got you. Okay. What about
I
you?
agree. It's ironic, but a lot of people feel like after you get, the surgery, it's like you're so much happier and you feel like, oh, I look like this. And I actually was the complete opposite. If anything, I'm more insecure now than I was when I was bigger. And it's funny to me because people tell me all the time, like, oh, you must be happy now because you're skinny and you're smaller. And it's the complete opposite. There's plenty of days that I look in the mirror that I don't like what I see. I think I'm too small, and I feel like, I was prettier when I was bigger. So it's like that's the whole misconception that as soon as you lose weight, you're going to be happier. That's not true. If anything, it's a big mental shift, and it's a big, it's a transition. So that's the biggest misconception.
No, interesting.
Right.
Yeah, because I would have thought like you'd be like, oh, I'm this size now, and and now, so with that, Quay, what are you doing to kind of work on that? Because I think at the end of the day, then it's more about like your own self-image, no matter big, small, or whatever. So what do you do to kind of get support around that?
Well, days that I felt that way, I actually I would speak to like my best friend, and they would explain you were comfortable, like you saw that person every day. So it's obvious, like now it's a change, it's a different, you're not used to this. So I try to think of it that way, like, okay, you're not used to your new self yet, or, whatever. But I just still have my days where I just feel like, oh, I'm too small. I lost too much weight. And the fact that I'm still losing doesn't really make it better. But I think, okay, well, I'm healthier now. I don't have like swollen feet anymore, because like before I used to walk a day and my feet would be swollen by the end of the day. That doesn't happen anymore. So I try to think of the positive things.
Nope.
Right.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because you think that all these changes happen and then everything is perfect. I remember a friend of mine saying that she had gotten, but she didn't get the sleeve. She got the gastric bypass, and also had another friend we had went to high school that had the gastric bypass, and they were saying that you really have to psychologically think about things to fix on yourself or work on within yourselves, because it's not like the weight is usually a symptom of something else, right? It's usually a symptom of what you have going on. I know that to me, I ate a lot when I felt lonely, when I just like wanted this feeling of something full and warm inside of me,
Right.
and, and so it's like, I got to think about those things now. I'm not eating as much now because I can't.
Right.
And, I actually had to just get a second surgery 2 weeks ago, but not for that, but for a hernia, removal, and it's taken away my appetite and things like that, and, just thinking about it, one of the things that my friend mentioned was that sometimes people who do the weight loss surgery, once they get rid of the desire to eat, they start having other addictions. Like
Very
they go
true.
to drugs, or they go to other things, because it's kind of like something that they have to, I guess, keep grasping for something to fulfill something that you may feel is missing. So I think that's something that people should think about, is getting counseling and making sure, or having close people that you really can have an honest relationship, not judgmental people who will really support you, not tell you that anything's wrong with you, but, really, really be there with you. What were some of the fears that you had around this? Is there any fears that you had around thinking about doing the surgery and things like that?
Not really. I didn't really have any fears. I was a little anxious about getting put to sleep for the surgery. But other than that, and also I always heard like the well, they're not really myths, but I always heard people talking about you throwing up after the surgery, like if you eat too much or if you eat whatever. So I just never wanted to throw up. So those were the only two things I was really scared of.
Okay.
Yeah. The same with me, I would say the general anesthesia. Like I've had 5 C-sections, I've had surgeries. So I wasn't scared of the surgery per se, but I had never really been put to sleep. So my thing was not so much the thrown up, but I would hear the stories about people who go in under anesthesia and can feel everything happening, but they're like trapped in their body. That's what was in my head.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, they're not gonna know that I woke up and I'm gonna feel it all. That was my.
No, I heard that too. I did.
You did that? Say that again, Quay?
And I definitely heard that too. And I had a procedure prior that I needed to have to clear me for the surgery. And I woke up while the tube was down my throat, but it was like I went back to sleep and it didn't hurt. Like it was weird, but I definitely woke up real quick while it was, and I was aware, and then I went back to sleep. So it's like, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that got to talk to your anesthesiologist, because that is not good.
Yeah.
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 And one thing you ladies did mention is, like, I think another thing that people don't talk about much is the loose skin. And then it's like, do you have the money to save up to get the plastic surgery to kind of try to fix, I heard, well, one thing my doctor did say is that they have advocated for insurance to pay for like the stomach area, but they're still trying to fight to pay for the leg area, where you still may have loose skin on the legs and the arms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that loose skin.
Yeah.
Being able to do that. Is that something that you plan to do at any time, or you just like, it's fine?
I don't. I had already made up in my mind. I knew that there was going to be a possibility of loose skin. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot. I do have the arm thing. I don't think it's any way around the bat wings. But I had already made up my mind before I had the surgery that I wouldn't be having any more elective surgeries. So I just wear my shapewear, and that's how we're going to roll.
Okay. Quay?
I'm definitely getting it removed for sure. As soon as possible. Yeah, I'm definitely getting it removed. I spoke to my surgeon recently that did the surgery, and he recommended, someone within his network and stuff. So I definitely want to because I have a lot. So yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
And Quay, do you mind sharing about, have they quoted any amounts of money that this all costs?
Well, no, he didn't. But the thing was with that is that I'm like conflicted because I wanted like other cosmetic surgery. So it was kind of like, okay, I can go get this tummy tuck or whatever, and insurance might cover it, but then I'm gonna have to go again to get cosmetic surgery as opposed to just going all in one shot and getting the cosmetic surgery and having to pay for it all. So
Mhm.
that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Okay,
Mhm.
got you. Okay. Um, what is some advice or things that you would tell people who may be thinking about going through this process themselves, or things like you didn't know until after you got the surgery, or things you wish you would have known before you got the surgery? What are some of those things for you that you'd share?
For me, I always say to do your research. You have to speak with someone that's gotten it before, or a few people speak with someone because doctors aren't going to tell you everything. You want the real deal. Also, for me personally, I would say let it be your last resort. Try first. Try as hard as you can to lose it naturally. And if you have to have the surgery, then have the surgery. And last but not least, I used to think it was a quick fix. It's not a quick fix at all. Um, it's not easy. Like you don't just have your surgery and you lose weight, as you said earlier. It's not easy. If anything, it's hard. Like you said, you don't eat that much because you can't. You may want to. I still think like a big girl and I still want a lot of food, but you
Yeah.
can't. So,
Mhm.
but that's my advice.
Okay.
Yeah. And saying my advice would definitely be, yes, do your research. Research more than one doctor, because different doctors have different rules. Definitely see about your insurance, see what you have to do for your insurance to cover it. Do not think it's a quick fix. Also, get more than one counseling session, not just the counseling session that they give you to see if your head is in the right place. Because like Quay said, I still think like a big girl. So I may not be able to eat as much, but I still want to eat as much. And when you don't have that anymore and so much of your life revolves around food, like just even going out with your friends and all that, you kind of pick up something else. Like I picked up
Mhm.
online shopping, so it's like, I would definitely say do the counseling to work out your own issues. I didn't think I had any, so it's like, never think that you don't have issues because something is going on.
Right.
So just be prepared for, okay, this comfort is not going to be there anymore. And so I say get counseling.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things, well, some of the things we've already mentioned was things that I wasn't prepared for. Like I said, I thought it would be like the weight just falls off. I don't have to do anything. Yes, you still have to exercise or work out or do things if you want to get in shape or lose the weight a little bit quicker. The other thing I wasn't prepared for, didn't know about, or didn't know to ask was like after when you get that, like, I guess it's like acid reflux where you swallow and the bubbles or
Mhm.
gas keeps coming up and you can't
Mhm.
really gulp anything anymore. You got to
Mhm.
kind of sip it and go slow. and you're getting that uncomfortable feeling that you get in your stomach and your chest from that. I didn't know to ask or, have anybody to tell me about those little things. It's starting to subside for me now. So this is what, 3 months or 2 months after I've had the surgery. But that was very uncomfortable at first that I didn't know. I did do, right after the surgery, I was throwing up a bit, like my stomach, I was just throwing up. And it was a lot of the blood and stuff from the surgery was coming out. So I wasn't like aware of any of those things, before I got in. So, I guess being prepared for a certain level of discomfort after the surgery was something I didn't know or was really, prepared for. The pain wasn't horrendous. It was manageable. But I know that those are some of the things that was important. But I think that what everybody mentioned, like it's good to really try to get some counseling and have people to talk to. So, we can get out of what you're saying, thinking like a big girl and of those things, because what is that? What does that mean? And where does that come from?
Right.
So I guess one of my last questions I wanted to ask um, is how do you feel about yourself now? Is there a difference between how you felt before? I guess it's kind of similar to the question I asked, but like, how do you feel as to who you are, as a person, the way you look when you look in the mirror? I guess you kind of answered that to an extent, but is there something different or anything that you would share with people to kind of think about, you know, maybe what you thought and what the reality is, all of those types of things.
Um, it depends on the day for me.
Okay.
But overall, I think I probably thought that I would be happier
Mhm.
with how I looked than I am.
Okay.
Um, but it depends on the day. Like every day, I don't think, I don't like how I look. Like that's not every day. It's just some days. But I did think, like most people, once I lose all the weight, like, I'm gonna love how I look, and I'm gonna be happier. And that's just not the case. But overall, I'm proud of what I did. And if I had to go back and do it again, I would still do it again because it was never about how I looked. It was all about my health, and I just was very unhealthy. So, now my health is much better. And I also want to say the misconception of, smaller people can't have high blood pressure and can't have high cholesterol. They can. So it's like it doesn't matter if you're smaller, you can still have these issues. It's just that, when you're bigger, you have them more often. But that's what it is for me.
Okay.
Right.
Janelle?
Right. Yeah, I don't regret the surgery. I would do it over again. Like I said earlier, I am disappointed about the 20 pounds that I've gained. And I think it's more embarrassment because one thing I think both of you guys can agree, when people know that you had the surgery and they see you dropping the weight, it's like they're looking at you. And then so my thing is like, okay, they're going to notice that I gained some of this weight back. What are they saying behind my back? But at the end of the day, I just have to realize, my health is better. I know if I wouldn't have had it, I really do believe I probably would have like maybe died of a massive heart attack or in my sleep because, I was 5'1", 280 pounds. My blood pressure was just out of control. So all in all, I'm still happy that I did it and I'm happy with myself.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. So I feel like I'm like okay with the fact that I did this because like we've said, you struggle, you're up and down, not being disciplined, all of those things. At the end of the day, I still love myself. I still think of myself as a beautiful person. I think of myself as a good person, and all of those things matter. But I felt like I wanted my outside to match my inside. And that was a part of like what it is for me. I know that if I have to, I'm hoping not to have to do too many other surgeries, but I know that I will definitely consider the plastic surgery, because I'd be like, well, what's the point of doing all this? And then I can't wear a swimming suit or, wear something where I don't feel embarrassed. So I believe that I will do that aspect of it, and then hope that I never have to see a scalpel after that again.
Right.
Those are definitely important. But I think like one of the messages that I would like to leave people with is that this should be a decision that's for you. Like it's not shouldn't be,
Absolutely.
I want to do it for a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or
Right.
I'm doing it because society says I need to be or look this way. That it has to be a decision that's definitely about you, about your health, and about you just feeling good about you and enhancing it. I think that that's something that is one of the most important things through going through this process and being able to connect with others who've done it. I'm definitely going to put up the contact information at the end of this that people can contact me, and hopefully if Quay or Janelle is open to being contacted, I would then forward information to you too. So what would be the last message you would give to any other male or female who is thinking about doing this surgery? What was the message you would leave them with?
Janelle, while I think of mine.
Go ahead, Janelle.
I would say definitely do it for you. If you feel this is the right decision, do not let anybody deter you. If you know in your heart that this is what you need to do, then definitely do it.
Mhm. Okay.
I would definitely say do it for you. Do it for you as well, and also know and be aware that everybody's not going to support your decision. So that just goes back to doing it for you, really, because everyone's not going to be happy for you. So yeah, you're going to have a few, but a lot of people just, they aren't going to be happy. They aren't going to support you. They may disagree. So overall, it has to be for you and for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think also it, not to be embarrassed about it. At first when I was going to do this, I wasn't going to tell anybody. I was like, nah, I'll just do it and I'll stay home and heal up and nobody has to know. But then I was like, why do I need to be embarrassed or scared to let people know that I'm going through this process? And I went the total
Right.
opposite and just put it out there everywhere, that I did this and I'm doing this for myself. And I don't care. I'm not caring about anybody's judgment or anything like that. Nobody really had anything negative to say. The only person who was more so not as happy about me doing it was my mother, and not because of selfish reasons. She was a nurse, and she's just like, you're doing elective surgery, like you're putting yourself in this situation, and everything is always a risk. So it wasn't necessarily, for other reasons other than, you're always putting your body at risk when you do any surgery. But I think after the initial discussion, she was, more supportive about it and understanding of why, I made the decision to do it, and my brothers were very, very supportive. So, you found people, like you said, there's always going to be people who may be naysayers or say something negative, or if you feel, but I think that it's important to not feel embarrassed and to not feel down on yourself. I think sometimes that brings the energy of people feeling like they can judge you. But if you're confident and you say, what, I'm doing it for me, I'm not going to be embarrassed, people who are like that kind of move away. So I just want to thank the both of you ladies for
Thank you.
being supportive and sharing your journey with all of us and having our soul to soul connection. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Okay. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.